Welcome to the Dirty South Fantasy Football Podcast with your host, Eric Lee and Lorenzo Ice-T.
What's up, Lo? What's going on?
What's up, E. Lee? In the place to be. It's the L-I-T, the C-I-T, always on fire. I stay lit. Got to give myself a round of applause.
Do that.
That's right. How you feel this evening, man?
Everything's good, man. You know, having some problems with my lighting, but you know, sometimes it just be that way.
Yeah, it looked like it's just a plain orange wall. Where the logos? Where the decal?
There we go. There we go. Now new lighting system.
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
You know, trying to be slick with it.
Okay. I got something.
So, hey, man, a lot going on in the NFL. But before we do that, we want to welcome everybody to the Dirty South Fantasy Football Podcast. It's weekly. I am yours truly, Eric Lee, and you are?
I am Lorenzo Ice-T to the time. It's the L-I-T, the C-I-T, always on fire. I stay lit.
That's right. And if you are catching us on Facebook, first and foremost, I want to apologize for last week because we couldn't get to any of the comments because there was some technical difficulties with StreamYard and Facebook. So we couldn't get the comments in. So if you have an opportunity to comment tonight, hopefully that is all worked out. Go ahead, drop your comments. We're going to put them up on the screen. We're going to shout you out. If you're catching us on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification button as well as the like button. And please subscribe. We've got a lot to talk about, Lo, about this whole fantasy football, NFL, all the above today.
Well, it all goes hand in hand. I mean, when it's fantasy football, you know, that's one thing. And then when the NFL, of course, they trade deadline passed today at 4 p.m. And I love what's happening with the NFL. I mean, they're making trades. I've never seen this many trades before, like right before the deadline. I mean, teams are going all in. And, you know, one of my teams, you know, it always comes back to my team. You know, of course, that.
Hey,
right.
We're going to talk about all of that.
Yeah, we talk about all that. So there's so many teams that have just said, okay, you know, forget those picks. We want ballers. We want players because right now we think we can win right now. And if we pick a draft choice may take a couple of years before they mature and are ready to be an impact player. You know, if it's not in that top 5 or top 10, top 15, it's the bottom of that first round. Second round, you know, you got to give those players a chance to grow. So, you know.
So do you think my man over in Los Angeles said, you know what? We're going to get rid of these. We don't care about the draft picks. We want to win and win now. And everybody else is trying to mimic that because the NFL is a copycat league.
I'm not sure which you said in Los Angeles.
McVay, the Rams. Remember they gave up all those draft picks? Pick up Odell. They picked up
my last year.
Last year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And they got a Super Bowl out of that, you know, but sometimes that can be effective if you just want to get a Super Bowl, but you have to have a good foundation as well. You have to have a roster that's filled out with some youth to go with those veterans. You know what I'm saying? They bring in a Matthew Stafford. It's like, yes, he had that one good year. You know, he's basically fallen off this year. Yeah. So, you know, and then you let Von Miller go to the Buffalo Bills. So you have to try to keep those players in place, and then you have to have a great mixture of youth. So when those veterans move on, you have a young player that can come in and take his place immediately. And you know, the Rams are just in disarray right now, so I can't say that's the right way to do it. They got their championship,
but if you want to win the chip,
I mean, they got their chip, but okay, we'll forget about them winning the chip 5 years from now. You know what I'm saying? they bought it, but we're gonna forget about them. Then you know how long are they gonna be around? Aaron Donald's about the way, you know, on the way out. Right. So you know he's got maybe 1 or 2 years if he stays around that long. So they got the chip, but we're gonna forget about them. Like we forget about Aaron Rodgers winning that Super Bowl. I barely remember any highlight from that Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So you want to have a team that's going to be around, and you need to build it through the draft and then add free agents or make those trades to fill out your roster. That's just the way I look at it.
Speaking of filling out the roster, let's get right into what went down today, man. Let's talk about all of the trades that went on. How will it affect your fantasy team? Now, it might be a little different for people that are playing fantasy that aren't playing IDP, if they're just playing strictly for team defense, if you're doing super flex leagues and things of that nature. But let's talk about some NFL stuff. Bradley Chubb went to the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to let you go ahead and run with that because I know that's your team. Go ahead. What y'all had to give up for him?
We actually had to give up a 4th round pick in the 2024 draft. I'm going off the top of the head, but we did have to give up a number 1 draft choice in the 2023 draft, which is next year. Right. And we had to give up Chase Edmonds, but Chase Edmonds, yes, we had to give him up as well. But in return, we're getting Bradley Chubb and a number 5 in the 2025 draft. Now, when we look, you got Chase Edmonds you had him on the screen a few seconds ago. He has not been working out in Miami. He has had the drops. He's dropped some touchdowns, passes in the flat. So we're not very high on Chase Edmonds, even though he has some value. What we anticipated him to be with this Miami Dolphins offense, we are sorely disappointed. So by including him in the trade, and of course the Denver Broncos, because of Javonte Williams getting hurt, Boone getting hurt, they've got Murray back there along with Melvin Gordon. Chase Edmonds does have an opportunity to basically make an impact with this Denver Bronco offense, and he may have just had a few problems just trying to catch up to the speed of the Miami Dolphins offense and the way Mike McDaniel's run it. So he was pressing a little hard, dropping passes. So to move on from him, I think that's a great deal for us. But we're able to get Bradley Chubb because what we're missing is someone that's going to be able to put pressure on the quarterback that's opposite of Jalen Phillips. So now we're saying we can compete with the Bills and the Chiefs. So by having this linebacker or this defensive, wherever we decide to line them up, because Emmanuel Ogbah has not been getting the pressure on the quarterback like he's supposed to. Jalen Phillips, who's in his 2nd year, is getting close there, but there's no pressure coming from the other side. And we want to be able to get pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz all the time. Being that we've lost Brandon Jones, he hasn't played yet. Byron Jones, he hasn't played yet this year. Hasn't played at all this year. We lost Nick Needham to a season-ending injury. Brandon Jones, our safety, we lost him for the year. So basically,
sounds like a lot going on there.
We've lost three of our starting defensive backs have not even basically not lining up right now. So we need to be able to get pressure on the quarterback without having to blitz. And this is what Bradley Chubb does for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, when we're talking about Chase, for fantasy football players, the fact that, sometimes it's just good to get a fresh start somewhere else. So there will be opportunities at Denver for him to get in the game and show what he can do. But this may be his last stop if he has the same problems that you're saying he's having in Miami, if he does the same thing for the Broncos. So it could be one of his last stops.
Well, I mean, Denver seems as if they're having problems in their backfield ever since they lost Javonte. So Chase Edmonds is going to get quite a bit of opportunity to be able to do something with the ball, especially playing in that AFC West where they do throw the ball quite a bit. Denver may be behind in quite a few games. He may be that 3rd down back that's on the field to catch the ball out of the backfield. He maybe just need a fresh new start. And I am going to keep him on my fantasy football team.
Hey, some other movement going on. We've got a lot of folks that like to pop in on our stream looking for Rob. I'm pretty sure if he gets an opportunity, he'll pop in. This gentleman right here, Chase Claypool, goes to Chicago, is going to help out the young man at quarterback. So that's going to be interesting. They had to give up a little bit in order to get Chase. Pittsburgh is going to get a 2nd in 2023 for Chase. But for the fantasy football GM, what do you think about the prospects for George Pickens to be able to get more touches since Claypool is going to be gone now?
I mean, Pittsburgh has a lot of problems just with their offense alone. So I don't know if it's about opportunities right now. It's just all about their offense getting some type of chemistry and getting cohesive some way, form, or fashion. Of course, I was at the game. It always comes back to the Dolphins.
I see.
I was at the game to be able to see how Pittsburgh was able to move the ball somewhat, but they continue to have issues with just getting chemistry with the fact that they have the rookie quarterback in. So it may be a good move for Chase Claypool to move on to he's going to Chicago, right? Going to the Bears.
To Chicago. He's going to be over there with Justin Fields.
But then, I mean, he is still learning as well. So he's going basically from one rookie quarterback to another rookie quarterback, even though this is his second year. So, of course, if he's playing on your fantasy football team, I'd hold on to him. But depending on what type of league you're in, he's a free agent in some leagues. So, I'm not sure about how he's going to. And then he's got to learn the playbook and get it down pat. So, and the Dolphins play against the Bears this weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, and we just played against him, and he didn't do anything against the Dolphins anyway. So, it might be a good move. It might be a good move for his career, and he can grow with Justin Fields.
Well, we're going to see a whole lot of folks that have moved on from one team to another. If you're checking us out right now, feel free to hit us up in the chat. We'll definitely shout you guys out. Like I said, if you're catching this on the rewind, make sure you hit the like button. If it's Facebook, if it's YouTube, make sure you hit the notification button as well as the subscribe button. We want to make sure that you get the content every time we're clicking on and cutting this thing on. And of course, Lorenzo says always share. Please.
That's right. Definitely. Always share because you never know who's going to see it. So I'm having problems with my Facebook page. And anyone help me out. Hit me up in my on my IG, on my Twitter, because I've been blocked out of Facebook.
Never mind.
we'll talk about it later. It was something that happened on my Instagram page and it was connected to my Facebook. And I've been actually been deleted for Facebook. I've been trying to get in contact with them to make something happen over the past 2 weeks. Yeah.
Man, hold on, man. I'm hanging out with a convicted felon on Facebook.
Yeah, and IG. Yeah, right now. Yeah, I was trying to call the offices this morning. Trying to get in contact with them because they have to send you a code to your phone to verify your account. And I'm not receiving the code. It's never coming to my phone. So I'm like, how am I supposed to verify the account if I'm not receiving the code? So I don't know what to do next. So maybe
I got a good attorney for you. Let's get back to fantasy football. Calvin Ridley, Atlanta Falcons. We got rid of him today. Sent him to Jacksonville for actually a compensatory draft pick. It's at 6 right now, but based on his performance, if he does well, it could get as high as the number 3 draft pick. Oh, we got somebody shouting this out. That's Ernest Lawson. He said, great job, fellas. VSU for life.
Thank you. VSU.
We love it.
I love it. Speaking of love, I love this trade for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Once I saw that it went down, I think Calvin Ridley is one of the top wide receivers in the NFL, and it's going to be great for him to team up with Trevor Lawrence once he gets reinstated next year. They're going to be very explosive with having ATN and Ridley on the field at the same time with Trevor Lawrence throwing them the ball. So this is
Christian Kirk. He's on my squad.
And of course, Christian Kirk as well. So they've got some ballers and speed on that offense. So and it's going to be great for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm surprised that Atlanta traded him. But looking at Marcus Mariota, you're not sure how well the offense is going to continue to grow with him at quarterback. So it's a great move for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, well, the problem was basically the gambling piece. So they decided that you can't be gambling and playing on the same squad. So
but there are other players that have done much worse. Much worse. So we don't need to even get into the suspensions and what have you. He gets a whole year, and Deshaun Watson gets what? 13 games?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Come on, man.
For real.
Yeah, man. Some other stuff that went on in the NFL today. Now, this one has got my head. This is a head scratcher for me. TJ Hawkinson going to the Vikings. Detroit's going to get a 2nd and 23 and a 3rd and 24 for him, but they've traded inside of the division with Minnesota, who they have to see twice a year. It's a bit of a head scratcher to me. Looks like based on what they got, they got a nice haul for it.
Yeah.
But trading inside of the division, what are you thinking about that?
Well, I think this team did some trading in the offseason or during the draft. They have some history of doing some trading before. So this was kind of easy for them to pick up on something that they've done in the past. I don't think Detroit wanted to pay him, and he's due a big payday. So there's so many different areas where they may want to allocate their money. And Minnesota just lost their tight end, Irv Smith, for about 8 to 10 weeks. So Minnesota's 6-1. They're like, listen, we got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So could you imagine now they got Adam Thielen on one side, they got Justin Jefferson on another, and this beast in the middle of the field? Kirk Cousins is going to be just sitting there, and he is my quarterback on my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. All he has to do is hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook and distribute the ball to some playmakers out there on this Minnesota Vikings offense. So this is a great move. Detroit, they're 1-6. They living for the draft right about now, and they were not going to pay him.
But you've got to be, as a Detroit fan, you got to be sick again, man. You're like, golly, we're about to tank. Because they got a great, realistically, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you got Swift in the backfield, and you had him at tight end. The problem was the quarterback, because at one time in the first four games of the season, they were the number one offense in the league.
Yeah, and they came out in the first half against Miami and put up 27 points. So they can be explosive, but I just think they're looking at it from the standpoint of you've got teams that still have players like, if they're still under those rookie contracts, they want to keep those players under those rookie contracts and then spend that money elsewhere. So as long as they can continue to play with those guys on those contracts and they can compete and win, they want to try to win as soon as they can. Detroit has basically come to the conclusion that, listen, we're not winning right now, and we need to get as many as many players as we possibly can on those rookie contracts collectively together, and then we can add some veterans or just try to build from the bottom up. And that's what they're doing. And they just said, okay, listen, we're not going to pay this man this amount of money. We could take that money and put it someplace else.
Well, they got real good. In terms of a haul, they got real, a second in 2023 and a third in 24. But when you look at, from the fantasy football perspective, if TJ Hawkinson was your tight end in Detroit, now he's your tight end in Minnesota. Is that an upgrade from quarterback to quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know. But one other point I want to add about the Detroit Lions. I think they want to take that money and spend it on the defensive side of the ball. They just fired their secondary coach. Yeah. So they're looking at it this way. They have a good offensive line. They've got some playmakers at wide receivers and, of course, two beasts back there in the backfield. So do they want to give more money to their offense, or do they want to dedicate some to the defense? And then they got their rookie defensive end that they drafted. What's his name? Hutchinson or Henderson? Yeah, that they drafted. So now they got to stay young and have young, experienced players on the defensive side of the ball. Now, as far as a fantasy football standpoint, I think the value is somewhat diminished because now he's going to be, there's only one ball to go around, and you have Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Cook. Irv Smith is going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks, and you got Dalvin Cook in the backfield. So, his value is diminished, but I wouldn't let him go because the tight end. Yeah, the tight end.
I'm thinking Jefferson is about to open up now because he was being handled for the last couple of weeks. He's been very pedestrian in the numbers based on what we know he can bring to the table. Because at the beginning of the year, he was killing it. Then everybody started putting single high safeties over top of him, slowing him down. Now you got to look at the tight end, and he's a legitimate threat on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and that's what I like seeing during this trading deadline. A lot of the teams are looking at their weaknesses and doing something about them, like the Buffalo Bills said, okay, we need a back out of the backfield that can catch the ball. I'm not sure if he's coming up next on the screen, but you have Nyheim Hines that they traded Moss. What's his first name? Not Zachary Moss.
It's Zach Moss.
Okay, Zach Moss. They traded him, right?
About that.
That's right. That's the trade that the Bills made because they need a running back to catch the ball out of the backfield and can run a little bit. So I'm kind of excited about this from a fantasy football standpoint because I have Jonathan Taylor. So now I don't have to worry about Hines splitting those carries. Taylor will be on the field a little bit more. Right. But I'm concerned about it as a Miami Dolphin fan. So now we're going to have to make sure we have some linebackers or an extra defensive back on the field to be able to cover the running backs out of the backfield when we're facing Buffalo or Kansas City. But this is an excellent move for the Buffalo Bills. It upgrades their running back stable. I mean, it's actually a steal to make that that trade and throw in a draft choice. I think it was a 5th or 6th round draft choice.
You got a 6th round draft choice in
so,
2023.
I mean, it's a great move for Buffalo.
Yeah. So, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, what they going to do with Zach? Oh, well, they sent Zach off. So,
and just like we did with and just like we did with Chase Edmonds, we sent Chase Edmonds off to Denver, and then we made a move with San Francisco to get Jeff Wilson.
Dude?
That's right, that dude right there. We've been doing this for a while. We're getting on the same
rhythm right.
Right, and it's another great move by my Miami Dolphins because yes, you trade away Chase Edmonds, who was not doing very well. He had fallen behind Raheem Mostert on the depth chart. Now you bring in a running back who is familiar with the system because he played with Mike McDaniel in San Francisco. So now basically we had the starting backfield for the San Francisco 49ers from when they went to the Super Bowl and the Miami Dolphins backfield with the coach that called the plays or designed the plays, now the head coach in South Florida. And now that you have a backfield that can basically run the ball and is familiar with the system. And that's what the Miami Dolphins are going to need going forward. As it gets colder. As it gets colder, the question about Tua is now, can he do what he's doing now? He looked great. He looked great on Sunday, threw for 401 yards. But that was indoors.
Yeah, but if you're a fantasy football, if these guys are on your team and they got to split in the backfield, you're not too excited about it.
Well, Jeff Wilson was splitting carries anyway in San Francisco. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, so you basically got the same guy on a different team.
Yeah, but you have him in an offense that he's more familiar with. Right. And if you had Jeff, some people probably may have thought about dropping him after they traded for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh, okay, he's number 2, and he's definitely going to get some shine because he's familiar with Mike McDaniel's offense.
Yeah. So it's a lot different when you can go into a new system, which is realistically an old system for you.
Mm-hmm.
The learning curve is not as large, so you can get in and get right to the business of playing ball. If you're checking us out on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button. Don't be afraid. You can make comments in the comment section. We'll shout you out. We'd love to do that. If you're checking us out on the Rewind on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification button as well as the subscribe button. And always share.
That is right. And make sure you leave some messages in the comments because we'd love to go back and see what you said, and then we can reply to you as well. And then we can share it because the more people that make comments, the more people that share it, the more eyeballs we have, and the algorithms start to work and pick up the show, and then we can reach a bigger and huge. Yeah, it is. Okay. A bigger, huge audience.
Now, this is something that doesn't surprise me. We're talking the Ravens picking up Roquan.
Oh, what a haul.
That's man. You're talking about the rich getting richer.
Yeah. Now, did Queen get hurt?
I'm not sure.
Game.
For the Ravens?
Yeah.
Go check it out. Go pull it. See if you can pull it up. Because when I saw what the Bears going to get a 2nd and a 5th in 2023 for this. So they're not just the Bears aren't just giving away one of the greatest linebackers in the league today. They're actually getting a whole lot for him. And I love some Roquan Smith. He's a Georgia boy. He played at the UGA, so we got a chance to watch him in his college days. And, of course, he is the #1 tackler in the NFL right now. So when you talk about the black and blue division, we used to talk about that as the the AFC North. It looks like Baltimore is getting back to its roots. Heavy defense. Did you see anything, Lo?
No, I didn't see anything. Basically, he played in the game against Tampa Bay. Okay. I didn't have one of his exceptional games, but nothing about an injury. I don't know. I just for some odd reason I kind of remember maybe he went out of the game for a short period of time in that Tampa game, but I could be getting him confused with all the Green Bay linebackers that got hurt in that game against Buffalo. But I'll bet you this, that Ed Reed
Oh,
and my boy Ray Lewis.
And Ray Lewis, they like
so excited
oh, yeah.
to see this happen.
Oh, here's
this is no. I mean, Ray Lewis is on top of the world right about now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, just to see this, and this he represents what Baltimore Ravens defense is all about, what their culture is, and this was a great get for the Baltimore Ravens, and it's something that they need. And he brings that attitude and that swag to the defense. So, they're ready to go. They're 5-3. And, the Baltimore Ravens fans could easily say that, they blew a game against, the Miami Dolphins. They blew a game against the Buffalo Bills. And it was a third game. I can't remember who was against, who they blew a lead, but they could argue that they could easily be 8-0.
Yeah.
If they wanted to argue that. So if they're able to get some more defense and just be a little more consistent on offense, they'll be there. They'll be there at the end of the season.
I was watching some of the shows today, and they talked about they felt as though that they were just one missing piece away, and Roquan Smith could be that. It looks like, right now Baltimore is the number one seed in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So they look pretty good. So they got a little ways to go. Speaking of Baltimore, let's talk about some injuries because they hadn't gotten away from it. Rashad Bateman, high ankle sprain. He'll be out for some weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So
and that's a problem for their offense because they have some young wide receivers, but they have a problem with being consistent.
Right.
Mark Andrews just is Lamar Jackson's safety blanket. So as long as he's there, he's got that chemistry with Mark Andrews. But if they want to be able to extend the ball down the field, these young wide receivers have to stay healthy and be consistent.
Yeah, another injury. Well, they said he's injured, but he will play next week. And I get it. Cooper Kupp. They said Cooper's injured right now. So Sean McVay said he still will play. But do you put a halfway decent Cooper Kupp in the game and risk more injury?
Who's Los Angeles playing next week? Do you know?
I got to check it. I don't know. But to have your ace hobbled, would you go out there and put him in a place where he can go out there and get hurt again? Because they're going to need him for more than one game.
Yeah, Los Angeles really, I thought they were going to make a play for a running back before the draft, before the trading deadline, and they did not. Without a running game, I don't see how they're going to be able to generate any offense, especially with a hobbled Cooper Kupp. So it's going to be very hard for them, to basically stay competitive in any games with him being hobbled. So it just depends on who they're playing. That's why I was trying to look to see who's on their schedule and what it looks like.
Well, we've talked about a lot of the trades. We talked about a little bit of the injuries that were going on in NFL, but the man of the week, man, the top performer of the week has to be Derrick Henry. Dude did 219.
Get out of here.
It's the fourth time, Lo.
We knew that. It's like when you say, okay, Derrick Henry's running for $200.
The fact that he did it again.
He does it all the time. So it's like, okay, he's going to run for 200 yards. No. The player of the week is Tua Tagovailoa. That is
even over AJ Brown.
He Tua threw for 401 yards, and they stole a touchdown away from him.
So you gonna give it to Tua?
Yeah,
it sounds like home cooking, man.
How many yards did I say?
400.
401.
219 running.
400 yards passing. How often does that happen? So, and basically 4 touchdowns. I'm mad at Mike McDaniel for not challenging that play. There was a play where the wide receiver dove for the goal line, and the referees basically marked him short of the goal line, and we should have thrown the challenge flag to give it a touchdown to the rookie. Would have been his first touchdown, but it would have been the 4th touchdown for Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm going with Tua. But if you go
with Tua,
I'm going with 401 yards passing, man.
I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry, 219 on the road.
All right.
Hey, let everybody know how they can find you, man.
They can find me at Star 94.5, Orlando's only on R&B, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. I interviewed former police chief and Congresswoman Val Demings today. She's running for U.S. Senate to represent the state of Florida. So it was a very good conversation I had with her on Star 94.5 today. Also, you can find me on Hot 105 Saturday nights from 6 to 10 p.m. And that is South Florida's station for today's R&B and old school. And of course, you can find me right here on That's right. On Dirty South Fantasy Football League Talk Show.
Before I give out my handles, Carl with the K said thank you.
I said to me or to you?
To you.
For what? For beating?
Yeah, you put him back in first place again. He said thank you for putting him back in first place.
Yeah, but I think I played Carl this week too.
All right. So he said when you talked to Lo tonight, he said tell him thank you for getting me back in first place.
Yeah, I knocked him out. But we got a tough division, man. Our division is hard. I mean, I got we got two guys that are 7-1. You and I both are 5-3, but we're not in the same division.
Right.
So I beat the undefeated team this past week. I scored close to 200 points. Right. And it's just I'm getting healthy. Jonathan Taylor starting to show up a little bit. Right. Kyle Pitts basically had his best showing up. Best, Myles Garrett is now getting healthy. I'm just waiting for TJ Watt to get off IR, and now my team. And then by week 13, I'll have Deshaun Watson. So, I just wanted to get through this part of the season, just hopefully have a winning record and then have everyone come together. So,
I'll let Carl know that you've acknowledged that you helped him out and you'll be playing him this week.
That's right. I don't think. Yeah, he knows. He knows he made a move today, so he knows.
He makes moves every week. So.
Yeah, he knows. He knows who he's playing. He's looking at the lineup trying to figure out, and I'm favored.
Well, I know he won't see this because he's not on social media.
Okay.
Remember he said
that. Well, tell him he's welcome.
I'll send him the video. And folks, you can catch me each and every week right here on the Dirty South Fantasy Football Podcast. You see my handle. That's my Twitter. And you can also check me out. Check me out at 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM on the Odyssey app. I do overnights every night. And I got a house party show with my man, DJ Ebony, the Easy Brother of New York. We do that each and every Friday night. Nothing but the best house music all night long. So next week we will see you. Same bad time, same bad channel. We got a comment that just came in. Let's acknowledge that. Mo in the house.
Hey, Mo.
Hey, Mo.
What's that?
One of our owners in our league. Trying to trade them bad picks to us today.
When is the trade deadline, Commissioner?
Trade deadline is week 11.
Okay.
Yeah. Mo, we got to get you back on the show. Another
question. When does the playoffs begin?
Week 14.
You know what's crazy about that?
What?
I think some NFL teams are on a bye on week 14.
Really?
Yeah. Take a look at that. I think I was strolling through and I thought that was interesting that teams will be, because since they extended to to 17 games, now some teams have a bye on week 14. I think that's really unfortunate for fantasy football because most of the playoffs begin on week 14. So,
but you know what? I do believe the NFL is very cognizant of making sure fantasy and real football kind of lines up because of what it is. And most people, what do you mean? Why would they do that? Because one of the reasons why people tune into games that they're really not interested in is because they're interested in the player on that team. So it gets more eyeballs on the NFL.
Guess what team is on the bye? Your team, the Falcons, on week 14.
Hey, man, let's go.
And that's when the fantasy football playoffs start.
Right.
Ain't that something?
That's going to be something. Well, guys.
Oh, Lord.
30 minutes goes by and real quick. Shout out to my man Rich with the Rich Boys in our league. He has twins, and he was supposed to be one of our special guests today. And he said, "Man, I got to put these babies to bed. I can't do it."
I understand.
He will be with us next week.
That sounds good. All right, Ely, have yourself a good one, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.